on the CBS News app or even Pluto TV. Thanks again for watching. We're beginning our severe weather live stream coverage right here. If necessary, we'll break on into TV programming for things like tornado warnings. But for now, we're able to stay right here, right on our stream to give you some a little more relaxed, a little easier going severe weather coverage. So here's what we've got going on outside your window. We have two specific severe thunderstorm warnings in effect right now. One here for Lenawee County for 70-mile-an-hour winds. Those are considerable, what we call that next level of severe weather tag for some very strong straight line winds moving into Adrian and in parts of Lenawee County here shortly. Washtenaw County also included in a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds. This goes here until 1:15 in the morning as that line again continues to work its way across. It's about 12:15 now, a little after that. So this will clear well before 1:15. It's not moving that slowly, but it will continue to move its way to the east as we see, again, far more of those storm activity spots moving on through Chelsea and into Dexter. So while we've got that, and we continue to see this kind of move its way on through, kind of adjusting this here, a few more storms again on the northern side. You can see Hamburg Township right here. You got Brighton all the way to the west. None of these storms are severe at the moment. Those are all just good, strong storms. But the main stuff that we're tracking, again, continues to be these main cells as they move their way to the east. Now, the latest update on a couple of these ones that we've been looking at here is keeping an eye out for any areas of rotation. They're moving to the east at about 55 miles per hour. That is not a bad pace here for us. So let's actually time this out based on what we're looking at. So we can kind of trace out this line, the severe line itself, bring it to the east, and we'll bring it right to the edge of the area. There we go. So looking at where it's at, the line of storm should continue into Ann Arbor by about 12:30 here. So again, give or take about 5 minutes. Should be in Ypsilanti a little bit after that, moving from west to east. Makes sense. You got Canton by about 12:40 to 12:50. Livonia a little closer to about 12:50 to 1 a.m. Should be across the river into Windsor by 1:15. That's kind of the bottom line for this line of storms. That's it. That's the severe line that we've got. So if you are in areas south of I-96, that is what we're talking about. And we were talking about that at 11 o'clock on our newscast. We've got that on our social media pages, that our main risks are going to be along and south of 96, but especially riding along I-94 and down to the south. Those are the spots we have to look at. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to pop in our velocity data to take a look at some of the winds. And you can see there are some spots. You know, we're seeing little areas of rotation right here in Lenawee County, all the way up to the north, right here going into Washtenaw County. There are spots of rotation that are in these storms. That's why the warnings say tornado possible. Now, they're not to that warned criteria yet. They aren't, but that's something that we're going to track, especially seeing an area that can have a chance to rotate. That's over toward Manchester, over in southwestern Washtenaw County. We've seen storms that have a chance to try and get themselves going as they continue to move to the east. But once again, these are the only two cells we're tracking right now that have that severe weather potential to it. It's this area along the line. Also, along with that note, you saw those storms that were on the northern edge that are not warned here in Livingston and into Oakland counties or in northern parts of Washtenaw and Wayne counties because they're outpacing the fuel. They're heavy. We've actually got some heavy rain on our studio roof right now, but they're outpacing the gas in the tank. They had the foot on the gas for far too long, and they've now gone too far forward. Those storms moving into Washtenaw and into Lenawee counties have a ton. You can see the gas is much higher here on the scale, so that's going to allow it to stay fueled all the way to the lake and all the way to the river. That's why that concern is there for where storms are going to have that chance to try and keep themselves fueled, right? So Lenawee County is the strongest of the warnings right now with up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. You also have Washtenaw County with up to 60-mile-an-hour straight line winds. But you see where we get these little kind of divots right in the line, these little kinks right in that? That's where you can get those areas of rotation that pop up. They're little hints we have to watch as meteorologists. Not always is it just an easy painted picture. You have to look for these little hints, for the clues that they are, to figure out where something might try and pop going into the future. So we look, of course, with our velocity data, we can see these little areas of rotation that are trying to get themselves going. They're not very tight, so that's the good news. They're a little more broad, but then we also have a couple other tools that we can use to track for those different types of things. And while we had those little areas of rotation you can see in Lenawee County, we don't have true rotation with it. We do have a little bit of very minor, again, very minor rotation. Remember I was saying Manchester about a couple minutes ago? There we go. You can see these little spots of rotation trying to build within a storm. Now, just because something has rotation to it does not mean that it actually is a tornadic storm. Severe thunderstorms, naturally, as what they are, will have rotating updrafts within them. Just like your vacuum cleaner at home, if you have kind of that clear case on the front of it, for example, you can see the dirt swirl around inside it. That's the suction from it giving itself that visible force. Severe thunderstorm warnings have the same thing. It has a rotating updraft, and that's the suction of the storm, grabbing all that warm, very humid air and bringing it into the storm to fuel it. Same deal, just on a vastly larger scale, right? So that's what we have to track. You can see those little spots of rotation, but not until they start to really tighten up and they start to match those other different spots on radar. Only at that point do we start to get concerned, okay? So we're keeping an eye on things here for you, but at the moment, very strong wind gusts. And again, this is why we like being able to kind of do this on the stream with our severe thunderstorm warnings, because it's not as really heavy-duty, fast-paced. We don't have to break into programming and then constantly repeat ourselves or anything like that until you get a tornado warning. Then we got to stay on top of it. It's a requirement. We got to do it. So right here on the stream is where we're going to park it for right now, keeping a close eye on those stronger wind gusts, keeping a close eye on those areas of rotation, very broad. And again, if you're in areas here around the Rome area, basically right along 223, right here, it's a very broad area of rotation. Again, it's not anything very strong, but it's enough that within that area, that's that rotating updraft. So that's where your strongest winds are going to be, likely moving just to the north of Adrian, just to the north of the college, between Franklin and Adrian itself. Manchester, you probably had some gusty winds. You can see that area, very broad rotation there. And again, the severe thunderstorm warning for Washtenaw County goes until 1:15. It will clear the county well before then. It will probably clear the county within the next 20 to 25 minutes. We'll time it out again here in a second. But this is that area of rotation we're keeping a close eye on. And if it decides it wants to do something, then obviously we'll have to jump on the air instead of just here on the stream. Looking all the way up to the north as well, because yes, there are still storms. There are all the way up to the north here, but there's no areas of rotation. There's just some good gusty winds mixed in. Now, one spot we'll keep an eye on is right here in northwestern Livingston, where you do have some gusty winds, but it's not quite to the severe limit. So if you are in from the township area there, going all the way north in 96, past Howell, down here over toward the Highland area, those are spots that are going to get some really good gusty winds within the storm. It's still a good thunderstorm. This is not a weak system, not at all, not by any means. So while we've got that there, you can see some very good amounts of lightning. You have the two warnings for Washtenaw County there, the Lenawee County warning that goes until 12:45. Each of those, again, some very strong gusty winds. Not anything overly intense, but enough that we have to keep track of those. And again, that portion here on the northern side, the reason this is not warned is because it's outpacing the storm fuel. It's had its foot on the gas for far too long, and it just can't keep itself sustained. So looking at some of the updates from the Weather Service, keeping an eye out here. So we got an update that looks to be mainly just talking about the amount of rainfall, which absolutely is there. So there is what we call a brief urban flood potential, which is exactly like what it sounds. So they're keeping an eye out for this complex of storms, this one right here, right, that's moving along 94, especially, that has a chance to drop quite a bit of rainfall. So that complex has been responsible for what they're saying, widespread areas of 1 inch per hour rainfall rates all the way from Jackson all the way back to Battle Creek. But the rates were actually a little higher than just the forecast amounts, which means in areas of southeast Michigan, there is the potential for isolated flash flooding due to how much rainfall we've already received and how much rainfall this could continue to drop as it moves on through the Detroit region toward Ontario through about 1 to 1:30 in the morning. So isolated flash flooding risk for downtown Detroit as this continues to move its way to the east along I-94. For the most part, it's strong gusty winds, heavy rainfall, but that's the latest outlook that we're looking at. It's a lot of heavy rainfall. And this is the point where we were overly dry for 11 to almost 12 days. And every single Midwestern dad, myself included, was standing outside going, we needed this rain. Now, we don't need any more. We are past that point for us to worry about. So we're going to keep an eye on this line as it continues again to move to the east. Let's do something we did a few minutes ago, but let's finish this here with another one. We can time out the main section of this line as it continues to move to the east. So that's what we've got right here for you. And again, a good amount of lightning. You shouldn't be outside right now anyway. I get there's probably some curiosity of the storms coming on in, but let's just stay inside. It's past midnight now, folks. We've got Ann Arbor here within the next couple of moments, honestly. Should be from a line from Toledo northward by about 1240. Dearborn area by 106. Again, these are give or take 5 minutes because we have to adjust for speed of the storms. Right now, the line's going at 55 miles per hour. Fantastic. Should clear out of here very quickly. But downtown Detroit by about 110 should completely clear the lake shore there by the time we get to that 115, 120 mark. So we're clearing the area very quickly for the actual severe storms. But we still have through about 1 a.m. to 1:15. That's the timeline, and we've been talking about it all evening, that continued to be the expectation. 1 o'clock to 1:15 should likely be that clearing time. Now looking again at that velocity data, not seeing it, again, very broad areas of rotating updrafts right there in Lenawee County. Gives you that strong area of wind on the leading edge. That's going to continue to gust its way forward. We have this light little area of rotation out toward the southwest of Ann Arbor. Let's see if it matches with true rotation or not. It does, but it's not, rotation has to be kind of a dot, and it's not. It's just one broad line. So that makes me feel a little better there. Still the rotating updraft within the storm there. And then going up to the north again, good thunderstorms, plenty of lightning, very heavy rainfall, but nothing overly concerning. Hefty rain right here, moving on into Livonia, just to the north there of Plymouth, right through the construction zone, real fun. And then we've got a lot more as we go on down to the southwest, some heavier storms there, about to move on into Ann Arbor. Again, it's going to be windy. It's going to be windy, and the rainfall is going to be heavy. These are things you can expect from these storms tonight no matter what. But the best severe risk is along and south of I-96. That's the corridor. If you are north of there, your risk is a lot lower. A reminder, by the way, we do still have that tornado watch that's in effect until 2 a.m. But notice they're not doing a tornado watch downstream. It's all severe thunderstorm watch, because the tornado risk still remains lower. We've got those two counties that say tornado possible because you get a strong severe storm. It can rotate quickly. It doesn't take a lot to get it there. That's why we're on top of it right now. But overall, our northernmost counties here, Lapeer and St. Clair County, that risk is lower. It's the southernmost portion of Macomb, southern Oakland, southern Livingston, and then in Washtenaw, Wayne, Monroe, and Lenawee. Those are the spots that still have the stronger storm risk here going on through the rest of the evening. A reminder, too, about the difference. A watch is you've got all the ingredients you need. You have that threat, but it's not necessarily happening at that moment. A warning means, oh, it's happening, or it is likely to happen very, very soon. So that's the point where you have to take action. There still is some confusion, I'm finding. Every once in a while we do different visits to places, and there is still some confusion between those two. So watch means you're watching, warning means go. So get ready, go. That's what the two mean. So it's very important, of course, to know the difference between those two, especially as we go on into the rest of tonight. And I also want to make sure we acknowledge the fact that, severe storms in the middle of the night can be scary, right? You want to try and sleep. It's not letting you sleep. Those are things everybody has to deal with. And that's something that you have to slowly kind of come to terms with, and it's an easier thing just to kind of understand what's going on. That's why I like to add in a little more here, more than just, hey, it's raining, here's what's going. I try to give you hey, here's the background to it. The more you learn about something, I think it's a little easier then to try and at least not necessarily get over the fear, but at least understand it and contain it. So that's what we're doing. We're breaking down the line as it continues to the east here, and the reason once more why this is not warned up here, at least not yet. So they never want to say, oh, it's done, right? Is because of this. It's outpacing that fuel. And even right now, the line that's moving through Washtenaw and Lenawee counties, remember, just a moment ago, this was a lot stronger. And it's still there. There's still gas in the tank, but it's not as high octane stuff. to be able to keep those storms rolling as strong as where they were. So again, there's 96, there's 696. The best fuel is for Washtenaw, Wayne, Lenawee, Monroe counties, very southern Oakland, and very southern Macomb counties. North of there, there's not a lot of gas. You've got storms, you are going to get rain, but the worst of it, or at least the best chance for severe weather, once again remains south of that line. Let's double check some of that heavier rainfall too, because that's been, again, that's the concern. We just talked about that a moment ago. So still continuing the warning here for Lenawee, the National Weather Service in Detroit. Let's see, the gust front. Oh yeah, so right out ahead of it, I want to make sure we mention this as well. That out ahead of the storms, you're likely going to start to get a strong area of gusty wind before the rain even has a chance to move in. So if you've ever felt the pressure drop, you feel that cool rush of air and that strong gusty wind before you even feel a drop of rain, that's the gust front. That's out ahead of the storm. It's kind of the whew as it's running. And that is what it gives you. That's the gust front out ahead of the storm system to try and keep itself fueled. It's pushing a lot of cold air in front of it to force that warm air up into the storm. So the gust front itself is gusting at about 30 miles an hour. That's not the storm itself. That's that rush of air out ahead of it. The severe storm itself has the stronger wind gusts, and we can show you once more kind of where that's at. Let's see, very broad, not a concern there. You can see all the way up to the north again, not too much of a concern here from Bridgewater all the way up toward Ann Arbor. So again, good news, very broad areas, nothing very strong when it comes to rotation, just very, very light stuff. Looking for hail. Hail was not a big concern for today. We've been too hot. It doesn't exactly help when you're trying to make something frozen out of ice. And you can see there's not really a sign of hail within there, just very, very heavy rainfall. And even Lenawee County right here, that one doesn't look like it's overly strong anymore. Yes, it's a good storm still, but the actual strength of it, it's doing what we call gusting out. The strong wind gusts, again, outpacing the storm, which means it's not able to keep itself sustained. So still, gusty winds, absolutely. Still a severe storm, but not to the same extent. The biggest focus is right here, where Saline is likely getting some very strong winds. If you're in Saline or going toward Ypsilanti, Augusta Township, those are spots that absolutely you're going to get some good gusty winds from this section of the line as it moves its way to the east over the next couple of minutes. That's the spot. Then we're going to see those stronger gusts along within that severe thunderstorm warning. And if you ever see this, by the way, where it says tornado possible, that's the specialty tag. National Weather Service offices add special tags onto different things. This one says tornado possible. If we look at the one in Lenawee County, you'll see it says tornado possible as well. That's because, once again, either it's very far away from the radar, so it's harder to be able to nail down that potential right away, or it is a strong storm. It has the rotating updraft, so they are giving it extra attention. And if you're within the path of that storm, you need to be aware that it's not necessarily just a regular severe storm. It has the chance to to be a little more beefy as it continues to move to the east, right? So that's what we're going to be watching for. We'll keep an eye on those things real close. And again, no severe storms up to the north, just rain, just storms, regular old lightning. Not that lightning's not dangerous. Please do not go outside. We're keeping a close eye on those. For everybody that's here as well, kind of a note that we want to mention also, just in case. It's always good. The just in case mark, right? If we were to get a tornado warning, if we were, safest places in your home if you don't have a basement. We always talk about basement. Basement's great. Number one in your heart. But if you don't have a basement, an interior hallway, a bathroom away from windows, as long as it doesn't have windows, an interior closet, underneath a staircase, those are the best spots to be if you don't have a basement. If you have a two-story home and you have a staircase, underneath that is going to be that other safe spot. So these are the green locations. Otherwise, basement, best spot to be. And contrary to Midwestern popular belief, the deck is not the spot to go. Don't go there. That's not the place. So if we were to get one of those warnings for tonight, that's the safe spot to go to. If you end up in a situation like that too, we had this in Ann Arbor actually about a month ago, right, that we were watching for. If we were to end up in that situation, then for an apartment, you go to your lowest floor. You got laundry rooms there. Those are great spots. Some of them have underground parking garages, also great spots to go to. But once more, that's more of the unlikely situations for tonight. We've got strong wind gusts. We've got heavy rainfall. Those are the concerns. Likely more to affect your morning commute than to do anything more than that. So we're going to keep, again, a close eye on that situation here as we go on through the rest of the night. The line itself expected to clear the area by 1:15, so we don't have too much longer to have to worry about it. We've got about 45 minutes, and then we'll be able to send you on your way. But we're going to stick right here on the stream until that's all said and done. Let's double check here some of the rotation spots, make sure we're not letting that go. Okay, so one of the things that I do want to point out, and we're going to keep a close eye on, we got the gusty winds right here within this section. It's very broad. It's not really rotating strongly, but it is a broad area that indicates the rotating updraft within the storm, so that's where your strongest winds are going to be. That's riding right along 94, as we were talking about earlier, so it's going to continue along Michigan Avenue all the way to the east here, eventually impacting areas like Canton, Van Buren Township, Belleville. You've got to run all the way here to the east. You've got Wayne, you've got Westland. Dearborn's over here as well because this is Telegraph and there's Michigan Avenue. So we'll keep an eye out for that as it continues to move its way all the way to the east. For those of you that live there, probably stronger winds once it actually makes it in that direction. Remember right there, right around Telegraph, Michigan Avenue, way back in the day there used to be a Toys R Us in that spot. That'll be the area that the strongest winds are going to go through, okay? So while that rolls its way off to the east, we're just going to watch for those gusty winds to roll their way out. What I am going to keep a close eye on is right here. You see how the storm kind of has this little kind of kink in the line. When that happens, you have a chance to get something kind of wrapping around right there within those little bubbles. Don't have it. We don't have it right now, but we are going to watch it. So you can see right here it's trying to kind of flatten out. That's good. We don't want it to keep that kind of triangle pattern within the line. We don't want that setup. So as long as it tries to flatten out a little bit and it gets that broad scale, it's just straight line winds, and then that's it. So we'll watch that real close here as it continues to move to the east. Lenawee County, you're almost in the clear, by the way. Lenawee County, that storm is almost completely east of you. And areas down to the south toward Toledo, absolutely. You got some severe weather heading your way. Washtenaw County, again, some good wind gusts, and all the way up to the north there, some good winds all the way up toward the radar there in White Lake. But the only severe thunderstorm warning right here is in Washtenaw County, and that's once more moving its way to the east. It's on the eastern edge of the county, and they haven't extended it yet. So we'll keep a close eye on that to see if they end up doing anything with it. So far, no update to that. Lenawee County, that warning, again, goes until 12:45, if I remember correctly. Yes, Lenawee County's until 12:45. That will likely be allowed to expire at a normal time. Washtenaw County, it says until 1:15, but it's 12:38, and the line has almost cleared the county. That's why we've been talking about, hey, this stuff's moving pretty quick, and that's what we're going to keep really kind of on top of here through the rest of this until it's finally on out of the area. It's straight line winds, no areas of tight rotation. We're still on guard. We'll be watching that all the way through, of course. But going up to the north, as we've been saying, you can see right here, we'll show you it again, that where the storms are, you have the only two severe storms in our southernmost areas. The best risk is really south of 96 and 696, only south of that line. And the reason all of this is not warned is because it's outpacing the fuel. Here it is. You can see right here. There's barely anything there. There's not a lot of gas in the tank. The gas is in the tank, not high octane at all, down to the south of 696. It's still enough there to keep it fueled all the way to the river and all the way to the lake, but the actual risk for it remains, again, on the low to moderate side. The stuff north of there, enough to keep regular thunderstorms rolling, but not enough to necessarily keep severe weather potential rolling. That's why we're going to really kind of focus along and south of 96 and 696. We have the watch. We still have a watch for tonight. The tornado watch right here goes until 2 a.m. So that is something we'll keep an eye out for. They're slowly eroding it away to the west. But while we've got all of these counties still highlighted, our focus again is Wayne, Washtenaw, Lenawee, Monroe, and really kind of those primary ones. From southern Macomb, southern Oakland, you're kind of right on the edge, but otherwise the risk for you is very, very low. And double checking a little bit farther to the north there. Plenty of lightning, plenty of rain. Lenawee County storm trying to gust itself out as it moves into Monroe County. They have not extended the warning there, I think, for that reason. We'll see if they extend it into Wayne County here shortly. If they don't extend it into Wayne County, we'll be able to take a break here, but that will just depend on what they do specifically for Wayne County, because there's not much within that line. There's just this broad area that shows the strong gusty winds out ahead of it. There's no tight areas of rotation. We've been checking over and over again, and while they have that tornado possible tag on it, that's only because of the history that it had before, not because it has any indications now. We're on guard. We're still watching it all the way here through the evening, or rather through the middle of the night now, but that main section there just doesn't have that big push like what you need to be able to get stuff going. And everything north of there, again, the fuel for it is very, very low. The stuff along the line, absolutely gusty winds, not negating that. But it is going to be something that at least will hopefully give us a break when it comes down to where those storms are rolling through. Now the wind gusts again out of Manchester, not a whole lot in the way of real strong stuff. Checking in with one of our spotters to see what they were talking about. Yeah, they're seeing really not a whole lot right there. With a lot of the activity that rolled through northern Illinois and northern Indiana, that took a ton of the excess fuel. Grand Rapids took a ton of the excess fuel and left us with enough for a few severe thunderstorm warnings. We had Livingston, we had parts of Oakland, we had up toward Genesee, we had Washtenaw, we've had Lenawee, different spots that have had severe thunderstorm warnings, but exactly what we were talking about earlier. The line hits our western counties and is dying out as it moves farther to the east, breaking apart. We talked about this all afternoon and evening. We're about the facts, not the overhype. And that's exactly what we've been watching for. Waiting to see right here what they're going to do when it comes to Wayne County, but they still have not updated which route they're going to go with that. And that's specifically what I'm looking for. I want to see what they end up doing as this continues to move east. And we can time it out again here for you real quick, as a matter of fact. You know what? Let's do that. Let's bring in the regular line, and we'll time out here, this line here for you, right there. Bring it to the east. It's already set to 55, and should be moving on into Dearborn by about 1 a.m., Detroit by 1:09, Windsor by 1:15. That time hasn't changed. Nothing has changed with that time. That hasn't changed by a minute. Good news that it's holding steady at its rate of speed at 55. It should be again out of here by about 1 to 1:15. So within the next half an hour, this whole thing is going to come to an end, if not before then. Depends on what ends up happening here with this warning that we're watching for in Washtenaw County, trying to move on into Wayne County. That's really the only one that we have, because Lenawee County, that cell is gusted out. The line of stuff is east there. There's not a whole lot, so we're going to continue to watch that one as it moves its way on up to the north. And joining us here for the
good morning,
the end of the event right here for you is Vitas, missing the show.
Yeah,
There's not that much of a show to worry about.
Yeah.
We're on the stream. Right
yeah,
now.
leave a little piece of energy for me.
You've got
Right?
Washtenaw County, maybe Wayne County. We'll see if we can roll.
Coming in, the rain was super heavy. Coming down 696. I mean, it was pouring. My shirt is wet right now, actually, on the back.
Oh, no.
Parking from. Yeah, I tried to park as close as I could, but let me tell you, the rain is really heavy. I had a text come in from Meredith, and she said Ann Arbor is scary. That was her words.
Wow.
She said it was scary with severe weather coming through her neck of the woods.
So with the rainfall, they did put down a isolated urban flooding risk. Do you think?
100%.
I mean, is the hydroplaning out there? It seems like it's pretty.
100%. Because I'll tell you, a lot of the urban area, as you get the heavy rainfall, as you know, the air is saturated. We have tons of moisture in the atmosphere. These storms were just pretty much like the atmosphere is like a sponge and just just being squeezed out over our area. So right now it's really the rain, the flooding, probably some gusty winds, and then possibly an isolated spin up, like you said. But still, the winds are very strong. Earlier you mentioned Grand Rapids. I called my folks because that tornado warning back in Kent County, that circulation went south of them by about maybe 4 to 5 miles. So I was on the phone with them, and of course my sister was freaking out, and so she called me right when that was happening, and I said, well, yeah, it's about 4 to 5 miles south of you, heading like into Kentwood, out to Ada, but you guys will be okay. But back here at home, like you said, definitely strong winds with that line coming through. We were watching this while I was coming through Chicago and all of that.
I think that one is actually some of the damage pins right there is the one that you're talking about with Grand Rapids. There was the other one down to the south right there. Those were the two, it sounds like, of the actual touchdown tornadoes for the night.
I was sweating on that one on the south because, we had Union City.
Yes.
So remember we
Every
had
time.
we had the damage with that just south of or south of Three Rivers, and I was watching that coming out of just south of South Bend, and when that was and that was a very strong cell that was going through parts of northwest Indiana, an actual touchdown. I mean, they had a tornado emergency on that cell.
And
which
those
was
are
quite interesting.
rare.
Yeah.
Those ones are rare too
Yeah.
to get a lot of that. But that's part of the reason too that our stuff is kind of where it is with the good storms, but not the overly severe stuff because they got hammered so hard already earlier this evening.
Oh yeah. So we were talking about this for the last couple of days as what will be our threat level as far as yesterday. Well, now we're going into actually, let's say 2 days ago,
Yeah.
2 nights ago. We're in another night.
It's technically Friday.
Yeah, let's go into
Happy
Friday.
Friday,
But yeah, a couple nights ago, we had some potential for some strong storms with all the heat and humidity. And one of the things is that driving heat. We have that in the atmosphere, the heat, the humidity, the energy, and then you have a frontal boundary pushing through. You're really going to get it firing off in the atmosphere. So that's what we have going on out there as far as the actual severe thunderstorm warning that we have, and that's going to continue to go for a little while now and it says tornado possible because there's always that threat of some rotation. And you were showing that there's maybe some slight rotation in there, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. There was some gusty winds, but they just put down 2. They're not going to go severe for Wayne. Wayne and Monroe, they're going to stick with a special weather statement for, let me get the info there again for us. The special weather statement specifically for 50 miles an hour or less. So 10 miles an hour less than severe. That's a pretty good diminishing within there, even though it's not rotating, but that's some gusty winds right there moving on. Eventually through the Paint Creek area, south of the Rawsonville, and eventually into Belleville, actually Van Buren Township, and then into Belleville. So still going to be some gusty winds right along that line.
Yeah, though they may not, you may not issue tornado warning, but definitely something that you're watching very closely in southern Wayne County, because we've had, just the other day, we had the tornado warning in Wayne County.
Yeah,
and the things
out
can
of
just
gusty
pop up.
showers.
Gusty showers. So that's the term. Look it up in the dictionary. Gusty showers.
That's all it was. We didn't have a single severe thunderstorm warning that day. We only had tornado warnings in the state.
Yeah, that's
every single one.
Pretty crazy, but it's one of those things that can happen, and so that's why we always tell you just have your alerts ready, be aware, because it can happen at a moment's notice, and you should always have that plan at home of where should I go, what do I need to do, and I listen to the rooftop.
Oh yeah,
That's what I drove through. So it caught
That
up
is
now.
heavy rain.
There was the cell out
Every
here
time.
when I came in, but then that was the one over my house. I said, okay, I think I'll probably get ahead of that before it gets here to the CBS studios. But nonetheless, there's plenty of rainfall squeezing out of the atmosphere. So yeah, that severe thunderstorm warning, and we're looking over there towards, as you're moving the map there, you see there's that, these cells are mainly segmented lines of thunderstorms, but in those lines you can get spin-ups that can be quick. Unlike the one that was down near South Bend, that was just one individual cell that was cranking a very large tornado. Here, it's not a tornado so much, it's more that rotation that's still there. If you look just north of Dundee, you see that little bit
That's
of
what I was looking at.
that little notch. Yeah, so you get north of Dundee, there's no warning issued, but still there's that potential, and that's part of that cell. So you see the rotation.
And it's starting to show a little bit of more aligned rotation within that spot, and that's one of the. And they have not severe warned Monroe County, but
That
we're
may
going to
be
have to
coming.
keep an eye on that cell there. So if you're in Maybe or the London area, maybe Exeter, all the way over actually toward Frenchtown, Berlin, Steiner, we're going to keep an eye on this.
Yeah,
for
I
you
would
here.
highly keep an eye on that, because that could be something.
Even
And
if
then-
our last warning expires, I think we need to stay on this just here.
Yeah, even over there, just maybe south of 96, you see, you expand up north of Sumter, but you see Van Buren, these areas. Sometimes you can get something ahead that just kind of spins up very quickly. But a lot of times it's very quick, and these are the things that we have to watch. And they could quickly touch down and then pop back up. But you mentioned rotation. Some people may not understand at home. They're like, well, what does that mean? Well, what's happening is Doppler radar is looking at literally every raindrop. And when it shows either green or red, it shows either the raindrops going away from or toward the radar. And so what that means is if you have raindrops very closely compact going away and toward see how that's a little more enhanced on that last scan?
Yeah.
That means that there can be maybe a funnel cloud and there's something spinning there. So that's what's so good about Doppler radar, is that it really is very sensitive. It can see bugs, it can see birds flying in the atmosphere, little dust particulates, but when you see those raindrops that are kind of rotating. But what we really look at is for it to actually get a couplet. What that means is that you're getting really tight rotation, and it actually is creating what we call a couplet. But then that gives the National Weather Service a warning, and they get a TVS signature, which we call tornado vortex signature, which then sounds the alarms. So there's no alarm sounded yet, but what we're tracking here is just to see if that does occur. And if it does, well, then we'll, all the bells and whistles go off, and we'll
Then
make
we
sure
all start running.
Yeah, well, exactly. Get to the basement. Get to your
and
safe spot.
That is one of the spots too that's had some pretty gusty winds all the way through the rest of the evening. But yeah, that little notch right in there is,
Yeah.
they don't have. I just checked. There's no debris signature in there yet.
No.
But they've got the aligned rotation on top of the main spot right there, on top of storm relative velocity. So we definitely need to keep an eye on that thing here.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of those things that, when these lines push through, and you had it right on the money the other day. You said, we'll see if these storms have enough energy to hold together to our side of the state. And some of the models were kind of making it fizzle out. Remember earlier, like yesterday
did.
morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had it more north or south.
None of them actually held together with the going forecast for today. Not a single one wanted to match, and nothing actually wanted to stick with it. Which is why, by the way, you should stick with us here, because we forecast with our guts and not just with whatever the computer model's showing.
Exactly.
So we put everything together by hand here.
100%.
So if you wonder why our forecast is different from others, it's because we're doing it by hand.
Yeah, literally. We have pen and pencil, and so we're doing it.
The old school
The
ways
old
are
school.
sometimes the best.
Yeah, but so you look at that and you just tell to yourself, well, definitely something to monitor. So we have the single severe thunderstorm warning, and that is going to continue for a little bit because those winds 60 mile per hour. And like Meredith was mentioning, when that rips through, I mean, the treetops, you can uproot trees if the ground's already saturated from previous rain.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of rain coming down in Farmington Hills, you see just over along 275. And, a lot of folks are heading home from work at this time. If they work late, places that close at midnight or restaurants or things like that, you get caught in this heavy downpour. So your speeds should slow down on the highway because, you get that ponding, standing water, you can run into hydroplaning, and that could be a problem. So definitely 275, and we're looking at
real heavy rainfall right on 275.
Canton. Yeah, that looks like someone's neighborhood here.
It just might be. I'm going to have a fun drive home, I think.
Yeah, and so what we're looking at, and we're seeing that heavy rain. Romulus, you're next. Van Buren already had that heavy downpour. But when you get the winds gusting, and you can see the airport right there.
Yep, I was just about to say, very heavy rainfall likely heading into the airport here in just a minute.
Yeah, that could delay any late flights going out because, DTW, they have a kind of a rule of thumb now that if there's strong downdrafts, you aren't going to be taking off or landing planes. And at this hour, there could be those those night flights that are coming in that may have to be rerouted or circle around until that comes out. But if it's low fuel, they may be landing over somewhere else temporarily until the storm clears. So you're talking about like Cleveland, or so there may be some delays if you're saying, oh, I got to head out to catch a 1:30 flight for a relative coming in. It may be delayed. So good to check ahead as we are seeing this heavy rain come down. I tell you, Ahmed,
I'm keeping a close
pouring.
look too to see it. I keep checking ATC to see if they're going to do any ground stops or anything for us. Chicago still has actually quite a few ground delays, especially with trying to come this way. So
100%.
the fact that they haven't issued one for Metro, maybe they're just hoping this rain's going to blow through and they can just keep going.
Yeah, and there's only so many flights around this time, or there's maybe still a few coming in, or international flights that are late. But it's one of those things that they don't like to land in that kind of stuff. So how's that circulation looking down towards maybe?
There's that spot of
bit.
circulation right there still.
Exeter?
Yeah, right just to the west of there. It's not given that like orange pin within there. It's still kind of broad along the line, but it was definitely trying to. Let's see if there's any.
Well, the town name really explains it. Maybe.
Maybe we maybe
It's literally
see that. There's
see
definitely.
something.
I mean, there's definitely a little bit of rotation along the line there, though,
100%.
without a doubt. Absolutely, just to the west of Exeter. So we already shouted out Exeter earlier, but again, this is why we're keeping an eye on things and staying on the stream, even though that one warning is likely going to expire here because the main portion of the storm is moving out of Washtenaw County.
Yeah.
But even though Monroe and Wayne counties don't have a warning, you still got very gusty winds. You can get those real quick spots of like rotation right along the line, that one west to Exeter. These little spots, we're going to keep an eye out here. And we said it earlier this evening, south of 94. Vitas was talking about earlier this morning, you know, how things can evolve through the day, what you need to be able to keep the storms going or what can make them not. So we've been breaking this down here for you for far more than 24 hours, and it's definitely got that stormy look to it that gave us a good push in our western counties, but not necessarily holding the best together at this point, but still good enough for some stronger gusts.
Yeah, and even though the thunderstorm, there's only one sitting there, don't be fooled. Another one could pop up relatively quickly. Even though it's very close, I mean, we usually track the storms up to the river. And once it crosses, you know, it's heading over to Windsor. But folks in Windsor, we keep an eye out for you as well. We don't feel that we forget about this because it's Canada. I mean, it's our viewers out there we care about as well. But nonetheless, as far as for here in the United States, they will issue the warnings for here, and then the Canadian Weather Service will issue them for over the border there. But nonetheless, we'll continue to track this. But boy, the rain is really coming down.
Yeah, some heavy rainfall on top of us. Just checked DTE, by the way, because we had a kind of a heads up that, hey, by the way, the winds were strong. And it's the gusty winds, not anything more than that, but the strong gusty winds moving through what you were talking about earlier from Dundee, north of there. So that area that had the strongest of the winds moving through, there are power outages there now. So it's not a lot of them because it is a little more rural in there, but there are power outages right within that spot, and those are all reported as being from specifically storm damage. So that's something, unfortunately, that'll take a little while for them to try and get back on. Looks like what do they got? Next restoration time probably coming on in by about they're hoping for 5 a.m. We will see.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it depends. But these are cranking along pretty good. In fact, they're getting in here maybe, about an hour earlier, I would say.
They are.
When we thought, because earlier when we were talking about Chicago, we were looking at the Midway live cam. And
that was nasty.
It was bolts of lightning, and the wind was going through Chicago. They actually had tornado warning in downtown Chicago. No official touchdown, but they actually had a warning there. But take a look at that. We are looking at some pretty good downpours. Right now, you're looking at the velocity, and what we mean by velocity,
once again, back up here for you.
Yeah, it looks like we are seeing once again rotation, slight rotation down there, as you see in parts of Monroe County near Exeter. So we're kind of watching.
Go ahead, you got the mouse. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we're kind of looking at this area over here that we're going to continue to track. And see what's going to be happening. So you can see over by Ash and Exeter, some really heavy downpours of rain. Sumter, so 275 is getting dumped on with buckets of rain. Romulus as well as Van Buren. I mean, folks are really having a hard time driving on 94. You know, you have to worry about we got some lightning and thunder as you see on the back edge of this system and this storm, but we'll continue to track this as we're seeing this activity. So what we're going to continue to track is the chance for these storms to continue to drop a lot of heavy rainfall across the area, and we're going to continue to watch that as we go through the next few hours. So taking a look at your Doppler radar, and Ahmed is driving the car for me. I appreciate it. But we can see over towards Van Buren and Livonia. Yeah, a lot of lightning here still coming down right around Novi and Northville. So that could be just as dangerous. As you talk about lightning strikes, you get that lightning, that could cause a fire because we get these bolt lightnings. Now, driving in, I saw a lot of cloud lightning, but I was seeing bolts as well off in the distance. So vigorous lightning that's coming down right now and striking over around the 275, 696 interchange there. And then, of course, you get over on I-96. A lot of rain coming down in Livonia, Canton, Van Buren, Romulus. Soon you're going to start seeing heavy rain and more in the metro Detroit area. But we do have like a leading edge of some of that heavy rain up I-75. Waterford up towards Big Beaver. These areas are getting really heavy downpours. Rochester Hills, some lightning and thunder. Troy, Sterling Heights. So we have to get through this rain. A lot of folks will be hearing it. You may even be woken up by this. But the good news is that we don't have like a ton of like any tornado warnings. Just that one that was a severe thunderstorm warning with a possibility of rotation or a tornado in that area.
Wow,
so
1.5 to 2 inch rainfall rates in there.
Oh, yeah, Ahmed, I'm telling you, it's coming down pretty good. Woo. My shirt is still wet. I'm wearing this jacket right now, just walking from my car to the building. It was dumping on me, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, I'm going to get soaked. But it's okay.
They gave us a speed estimate here. Let me draw it up here for you.
Let's see what we got.
Let's see. Bring it back off to the east
Okay, so we're going to bring this in.
Yep.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
we're
There's
seeing
about
arrival times.
55 miles an hour still.
Okay, so we're talking about this thing cranking along. In fact, getting into this side of the state about an hour earlier than projected on some of the models earlier today. So we're looking at those time arrivals, Dearborn at 104, 108, downtown Detroit or Detroit Metro. And then we're looking at Windsor across the river. Like I mentioned, we don't forget about our Canadian brothers and sisters. We're looking at 114. So this thing's cranking along St. Clair Shores. You'll definitely get that moving into your area about 117, 127, Essex. And then we're looking at Lakeshore at about 130. And then Algonac right around about 137. So these are the areas that it's going to continue to push in, drop heavy rain, give you some gusty winds. Now the winds have been pegging out. We've been having some reports of like 50 to 60, even 70 mile-an-hour wind gusts. Now, western edge of the state, I think, had a lot more when it came off of Lake Michigan, like Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Benton Harbor, talking about Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Lansing even had some really, really strong winds. So I think there's a lot more wind damage in some of those cells. In fact, there was such a bow, and when I say a bow echo in some of those thunderstorms out in this area. In fact, my folks live northern portions of Grand Rapids. The tornado warning was just south of them, first making its way through Walker and then East Kentwood over towards like Ada, those areas. So my parents, I called them, and my sister was freaking out. She called me, oh, we have a tornado warning. I said, don't worry, it's about 4 miles south of you. I think you're in the clear, but be in the basement still because the winds were really strong. So you see the wind damage reports here, storm reports, that there was some type of wind damage, and wind reports along the lakeshore. And of course, when you're coming across the lake, these thunderstorms don't have anything blocking them. So they're just shooting across the water. And so you're going to get the maximum winds, especially right around the coast in Holland or in coming across into Zeeland, over towards as you get towards Muskegon, these areas. But yeah, Kalamazoo had some wind damage reports, all of these, and then also some flooding around just west of Marshall on I-94. So the problem is you get those overnight drivers with the trucks. They run into this. You could run into hydroplaning. So you have to be really cautious from that. So we're looking at Battle Creek in Calhoun County. They're talking about stalled vehicle in water under a bridge. So some of
Please
these
don't do that. Do not drive through the floodwaters.
Oh my gosh, we tell people that all the time. But the problem is that night on the interstates, you may not see it, and it may look not as deep as it is. You see the water on the road, but you don't see that. In some of these areas, you have a little bit of a dip around the metro areas. You may have a dip that doesn't drain well. There may be leaves or debris in the drains, and it won't drain well. So there's areas around Detroit that are notorious for flooding. You get those Jersey barriers on both sides, and I could even see where the construction is up here on 96. Once you get going over towards west of Novi, west of Wixom, you get over around Howell and Brighton. They're doing that construction where they're shifting the lanes, and there's a section that dips down, and it has filled up with water with our last few storms about a week ago, and it was shut down. They had to shut down 96 because of the flooding out there. I remember talking about it in the morning doing traffic, but nonetheless, look at all the lightning
Trying to get
here.
this to load on in for how much rainfall we've had here.
Oh, okay,
It's going to
yeah.
take a minute to try to
That's
load
fine.
it in.
Yeah, that's fine. So we're looking at QPF data. This is qualitative precipitation, and we're talking about in the last, how long is this? Is this?
Should be about, let me give you the
hour?
estimate.
But look at all that rain. You see the.
The last 6 hours total, so
Okay.
that purple is what was coming on in, but the reason we don't have any highlights is it obviously hasn't done yet, but let me get the update for you on some of
Okay.
those amounts.
That's cool.
2
And you can see
inches.
he's popping on some of these. Ahmed is running the machine here. So we can see here west of I-69, once you get west of Marshall, you're looking at some heavy downpours of rain over just northeast of Kalamazoo. A lot of this is farm country in this area, but nonetheless, a big drink of water as you're going to continue to see that. And all this was moving east. So this was in the atmosphere. Where'd that come from? Well, this was in our atmosphere. When you step outside and you're like, whoo, it's hot, it's humid, that's what's in the atmosphere. And this storm is helping squeeze it out like a sponge. And that's what we're seeing on the surface. And so now we're seeing these heavy downpours of rain. Let's look at the bigger picture here. You see this kind of has a little bit of a line, little bow, but it looks like this is going to continue to blow on through. We're looking up towards Macomb County. Also, a lot of rain coming down down in Oakland County as we're tracking this moving east Washington and then also in Dearborn. So it looks like this time of arrival, as we're looking at the time, is currently now for Dearborn, downtown or Metro Detroit. You're going to be getting this as well. It's going to continue to start picking up. You'll start hearing more of the winds, seeing and hearing a lot of the lightning and thunder. But right now, the good news is that even though we have this heavy downpours of rain, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings on these. So it looks like the threat level has maybe come down just a notch. Not to say we're clear, but I'd say just a notch. I'd say we're clear when this is over here. I mean, once it gets past Clay and past Mount Pleasant, but these areas are going to continue to see some gusty winds. You can see as it's kind of making its way in. Now, we're not getting too much of rotation, which is good, as you can see on our velocity. That is the indicator on the radar where we can kind of see spinning action with the raindrops. But right now, things are looking like what we're seeing is just kind of this being probably the strongest winds out ahead of this. Now, maybe there's a little something on the back edge of something here, that leading storm that's moving into northeastern. Well, see, that's just that's a gust.
I bet you that's the gust front.
Yeah, gust front. So sometimes you'll see that ahead of it. So as these thunderstorms are like breathing mechanisms. They're pulling in all that warm, moist air. It goes into the upper atmosphere, and then it dumps down, and it's a forward flanking downdraft. So you get that forward flanking downdraft, and as that pushes out, you'll feel that. Sometimes you'll notice before a thunderstorm comes in, you see the dark clouds, and all of a sudden that air starts really pushing. It's cooler because it's coming from aloft, from upper levels. So that pushes down that forward flanking downdraft, and that's what you usually see, those squall lines, or you can see those scuds or those outflow boundaries, those clouds that look pretty ominous. But what we're seeing here is that's going to be kicking up the winds across Warren, southern, southwestern portions of Macomb County. But then following that with all the heavy rainfall is the lightning. Usually you get a lot of lightning with the heaviest downpours of rain too. So wherever that heavy rain is coming down, you're going to get those bolts of lightning. So I-75 going up around Troy, Big Beaver, all of those areas, it's pouring pretty good. Southfield heading up towards Bloomington, and it looks like we're definitely getting some heavy downpours. Royal Oak, you're definitely seeing some rain. We're starting to see some more in northwest Detroit itself. Detroit proper, we'll continue to see that, and it looks like Farmington, you're still seeing some decent rainfall. But behind that, we still have some decent showers, just some steady rain. So even though we're getting dumped on with heavy rain now, as we don't hear as much on the rooftop, but we're going to see still shower activity pushing through, adding to our totals, and the ground's going to be pretty wet. But for most folks, once they wake up for tomorrow morning, early risers heading to work, most of this should be out of here. And the good side of this is we're going to get much cooler temperatures, much more refreshing air. We're going to probably see lesser humidity, and we start stepping into a much clearer and quieter weekend, which is pretty good. The next chance for maybe any showers or thunderstorms will be on late Saturday night or into Sunday, getting some rain. As my stomach growled, you probably heard that. I'm like, did you? I heard that.
I thought
that wasn't
it was
thunder.
You
thought it was thunder. We just blended in. Yeah, we just blended with the storm.
I'm going to pop up downtown Detroit here for you if I can. Yeah. Oh, that one doesn't want to load in. Never mind. I was going to try and pop up our camera downtown for everybody to be able to see the wind trying to pick up.
Oh yeah, can we see Campus Martius?
It doesn't want to actually load that in right now, unfortunately.
Oh, onto your one of the scenes?
Yeah, if our control room can load up our secondary computer, Max 2 here for us. We want to swap on over to Doppler radar on Max 2, if you don't mind. I think we might have taken a little bit of a lightning hit, as a matter of fact, at the station here.
And maybe while they're doing it, if you want to, if they want to take even our tower cam to switch through, we can see a lot of lightning from the tower cam, but to see one of our cameras. But nonetheless, if they hear us in the back, I know they're trying to work on it.
They're working to switch us over to our Max 2 computer system right now, so we can restart our other system that took a little bit of a lightning hit, which plenty of lightning. That was the last thing I queried for you.
Yeah, there you go. So as we're kind of seeing right here, definitely a lot of lightning strikes. We saw 105 in this general vicinity, negative and positive strikes. So you're seeing a lot of lightning. And so this can actually cause problems out there as far as it can start fires, or if it hits a house, or chimneys or church steeples, things like that, anything tall. But most people are home. Generally, you don't have people standing out at the bus stop or, at this hour, which is good. But the thing is that with all the heaviest rainfall, that is one of the concerns here that we're looking at, is just that heavy rain coming down around Troy. You're seeing that in eastern portions of Oakland County, definitely a heavy rains. I-75, you're definitely seeing that heavy rain. Now, on I-75, there is several lanes, but you have to watch out for hydrant planing, and you have to watch out for all of the standing and ponding water as we go through the evening. Taylor, welcome, our producer. How you doing? Question, how was your drive? Was it a lot of water on the roads?
A lot of water on the road.
All right, Taylor's saying a lot of water on the road. So yeah. But even though you saw a lot of water, you slowed the speeds down, which is good. We're glad you're here safe. Of course you did. So here, we want to watch out and make sure people are safe, because people are either coming into work, the early shift, or like, our producers for the morning show, or you have people that are just leaving from work trying to head home on that late shift, and they have to drive through this. So we're seeing I-96, some heavy rain, steady rain coming down. Looks like we may have gotten another hit. I heard my mic just pop off and pop back on. So yeah, we may have taken a hit. We may be actually off for a minute, but it looks like definitely we're going to continue to track that heavy rainfall across the area. So it looks like we're going to see, for the most part, these showers and thunderstorms across the area continue to move through. And as far as what we're seeing, let me see if this pops up here. This cleared.
Got our, our Max 2 system is the one now loaded in for us. Yeah.
We still have that weather as far as a tornado watch. It's still standing until 5 a.m. Even though we don't have anything. I don't know if we're actually on air right now.
Yeah, we're good. We've just got Max 1 pulled over there, but right over here we should be up full.
Well,
right
I think we took a hit. See.
Oh, right there. Yes. Yeah. No, we've got we've got graphics set up full for right now. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we are.
There's a lot of lightning out there. That's for sure.
We took a little sting. Mother Nature gave us a little sting. Okay. Here we go. So as we kind of drive on through, it looks like we do have the heavy rain that's pushing through. Now I want you to look. There are no active warnings. We still have the tornado watch in place until 5 a.m., but there are no active warnings, and it looks like we're looking pretty good. So you can see a lot of lightning and thunder moving along I-75, heading to eastern portions of Oakland County. That is where it's really pouring. Look at 696. And then you were mentioning something about Detroit. You were trying to see something. I don't know if they can even bring up the image, but
let me see if I can pop that in here real quick.
Yeah, that's
see what we can
if
do.
It's up and running. But also our tower cam is showing vivid lightning out there off in the distance, and that will continue. You're going to hear some rumble, so you may have been woken up by the lightning, and you're just kind of wondering, looking out the window, oh, what's the situation? Well, the winds may be gusting anywhere from 45 to 50, but you have to get a little stronger winds to get a severe thunderstorm warning. So actually, it's the good news. It's more rain right now and heavy rainfall versus anything severe. But it could still do, small branches. It can blow some limbs down. So if you have to drive on in this, you want to just be careful as far as on the roadways. The main concern would also be flooding, because we're seeing heavy amounts of rainfall that are coming down right now. And it's going to be more steady rain that's going to follow this before we really rinse out the atmosphere.
Yep,
So
and
that's what
let's.
we're looking at.
I'm going to have the control room actually switch us back to Max 1 one more time, our primary computer, because we took a power hit that shot us out of our second one.
I know. We took a couple of hits. Yeah,
We have. We've been taking a
here
couple
at the
more, yeah.
station, as we can see.
Have him switch it right on back to our primary one more time here.
Okay,
for you.
so Max 1.
There we go. Yep, Max 1
Okay,
should
we're
be
back
right
live.
on up there for you now.
Okay, so we got Max 1. So here I am. I'm back. But we are looking at a lot of lightning here, and we took some lightning strikes. Not a lot of them, but that might have been the one right over here.
That's a pretty
that may have hit us.
good push.
right here.
Hey,
There
by
it
the
is.
way, there's a lot of electricity for us then.
Yeah, but let's look back here. As you see, 127 through Summit and Lansing. That's the back edge of it. That's it. That's going to be all we get. Once this goes through over the next about hour and a half, it'll totally start to clear the area. And then the tornado watch will probably drop early. It was until 5 a.m., but they may let that drop probably in the next hour. Once this more vigorous line has pushed through, once we see that going through, Sterling Heights, this is the heaviest rain. We still have some heavy downpours, gusty winds here. Also heading up here towards Port Huron, if you're looking at I-94, you're definitely getting some heavy rain right now. We're going to continue to see that come down. But downtown Detroit, you're starting to see some heavy rain coming down. Woodward Avenue, looking at I-75, I-96. All of those areas are getting some decent rainfall right
I can
now.
pop it in now for us. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Which one is this one? The
It should
view?
be Campus Marches coming up here.
Oh, there
you
it
go.
is. Hey, there we go. So you can see all that heavy rain right now. It's coming down pretty good. The winds aren't too horrible, but we can see they are blowing pretty good. If you look at the treetops, look at those wind gusts there. You can see the treetops blowing pretty good. So we are seeing some wind gusts that could be 45 to 55 miles per hour in some of these thunderstorms. So it's just below the severe weather threshold. And so we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings at this time, which is good. But do we have a lot of lightning? Oh, heck yeah. We still have a lot of activity going on in parts of Macomb County. Right now, Shelby getting some good rain, Macomb itself, as well as looking over towards Oakland County. Oakland heading down towards I-75. As you look at Big Beaver, these areas getting some decent rain. Farmington Hills, just some steady rain. Still some trailing lightning strikes back here, Livonia. But down around Detroit, we still have some heavy rain. Warren, you're getting some really heavy downpours right now as you go 696 eastbound. And it looks like we're going to continue to see that make its way east. Okay, we're looking at velocity. So
There's your gusty winds.
yeah, so you can also see in velocity the winds. So the winds are gusting pretty good. No real big rotation, just you see how the winds are bowing in that thunderstorm. So St. Clair Shores, you're going to be really getting some heavy gusty winds here shortly, and then also down towards Grosse Pointe and Grosse Pointe Park and Grosse Pointe Shores. So definitely this is going to continue to push east and then start making its way over Lake St. Clair and then head into Canada. But what we are seeing is just really the heavy downpours right now, and we're going to continue to track that. So the good news is a lot of this is the atmosphere is kind of letting out an exhale, and it is going to allow for the storms to just kind of be mostly the rain. This is all the moisture in the atmosphere. And once this pushed east, once this gets past us, we're going to see much more quieter conditions building in for the remainder portion of the morning. So the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hours are going to be much more quieter. We're going to see the rain kind of stopping probably right around, we're sitting at 1:15 now. I'd give it to about 2:30 for it to really clear, maybe 3, but it'll be, once that's gone, we'll start to get some clearing. And I think we're getting a lot nice sunshine for tomorrow, and we're going to be less humid, and temperature will be comfortable out there. It'll be a warm day, but not that humid, uncomfortable weather. So I tell you, we're looking, Ahmed, at this activity here, and it's a good sign.
Yeah, oh, definitely. We did get one thing. It's past now, but it's something that we were talking about a couple of minutes ago down toward Maybe. Remember we were talking about Maybe and Dundee? The emergency management and dispatch from down in that area. So let me circle that in there. Emergency, if I can circle that a little better here.
Yeah.
Emergency management from down in this area is saying multiple trees, wires down from Summerfield Township, the village of Dundee, the village of Maybe, and even into the city of Monroe, all coming from directly Monroe County Dispatch. So a lot. So where the stronger wind was, a lot of down trees and stuff in there. But I gotta admit, we were looking at that little area of rotation. It didn't want to give much, and it wasn't showing a debris signature, but not entirely convinced it may not have tried to do something.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been a brief touchdown. We don't know. We're not saying because there was no tornado warning, but nonetheless, sometimes it could be something that's very weak, that's really quick, and that's why we say you have to always be ready for whatever that potential is. But nonetheless, could it have been just a straight line wind, one gust that was knocked down some trees, power lines? Possibly.
Yep. That'll be something for our morning team to check with the Weather Service on in the morning.
100%. There you go. There you go. So it looks like definitely we're going to continue to see what's happening as far as these storms moving in. Macomb, Warren, it looks like this is going to continue to move over to St. Clair County, Port Huron. You're getting some lightning and thunder, but really it's just a heavy rain right now. I think our threat level has dropped quite a bit compared to what this energy was on the western half of the state in northern Indiana and parts of Illinois. Boy, they were thumped with severe weather. I mean, there was tornado warnings lining up all the way from parts of Wisconsin all the way down to parts of central Illinois, Indiana, and there were some large tornadoes that actually did a lot of damage and tracked a long way. But for us, it looks like that has diminished that threat. And the good news is it's just mainly heavy downpours of rain, and it looks like we're going to continue to see lightning and thunder. So we're going to continue to track this very closely as we go through the next several hours. It should be clearing for us, and we'll come back with our morning show. Make sure you tune in at 5, 6, and 9. We'll be here giving you the latest updates on our forecast and what we experienced with this, but we appreciate everything with Ahmed tracking it through the evening, and I'll have it for you in the morning on our CBS Next Weather Alert Day.